Officer, please, I'm a cardiac surgeon. There's a code blue inside. Get that black ass on the ground, now! Caldwell doesn't look at the badge, doesn't look at the scrubs. He sees the skin. That's enough. You? A surgeon? He laughs. Boy, surgeons are not black. Now get on your knees. That's where your kind belongs. The cuffs snap shut. A white woman films, giggling. A man in a suit walks past, shrugs. Medical students freeze at the door. No one speaks. No one helps. Inside, a woman's heart has stopped. She is someone very important to someone very powerful. Someone who signs Caldwell's paychecks. And in 11 minutes, he'll be on his knees, begging those same black hands to save her. Tuesday morning, 6:30. The Tate kitchen smells like coffee and toast. Dr. Spencer Tate stands at the stove, flipping pancakes. His daughter Cynthia sits at the counter, textbook open, pencil tapping against her lip. She is 14, freshman year, the kind of year that feels like it will never end. Dad, you're coming to career day, right? Tate slides a pancake onto her plate. Golden brown, just the way she likes it. Thursday, 2 o'clock. I'll be there. Promise? Promise. She smiles. It is the same smile her mother had. Tate notices this every morning. He has noticed it for 6 years, since the cancer took his wife and left him to raise their daughter alone. Some mornings, the resemblance is a comfort. Other mornings, it is a knife. The kitchen is small but warm. Morning light spills through the window above the sink, casting long rectangles across the tile floor. On the wall beside the refrigerator, a framed photograph hangs at eye level. The image shows 2 men in surgical scrubs, arms around each other's shoulders. One is Tate, 8 years younger, his face unlined, his eyes bright with the confidence of a man who believes the world rewards hard work. The other is an older man with gray temples and kind eyes, Dr. William Barnes. The inscription beneath the photo reads, "Steady hands, steady heart, WB." Tate pauses in front of the photograph. He does this most mornings. A ritual, a remembrance, a conversation with someone who can no longer answer. I still talk to him sometimes, he tells Cynthia. Old habit. She glances up from her pancakes. The doctor who taught you? The doctor who made me. William Barnes died 8 years ago. The official report called it a traffic accident, a fall, blunt force trauma, case closed, no investigation, no questions, no justice. Tate never believed it. But belief without evidence is just grief wearing a different mask. And grief, he has learned, does not hold up in court. He drops Cynthia at school by 7, watches her disappear through the front doors with her backpack bouncing against her shoulders, then drives the 12 minutes to St. Clement Regional Medical Center. The hospital sits on a hill overlooking downtown Meredith. 180,000 people live in this county. Most of them will never need a cardiac surgeon. The ones who do will ask for Spencer Tate. He badges in through the staff entrance at 7:15. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. The hallway smells of antiseptic and floor wax and the faint residue of cafeteria breakfast. Somewhere, an intercom pages a name he does not recognize. Nurse Patricia Coleman, Patty, everyone calls her, passes him near the elevator. She is 48, has worked the cardiac ward for 20 years, and has seen enough surgeons to know which ones deserve respect. Morning, Dr. Tate. Morning, Patty. She stops. Looks at him with the expression she reserves for surgeons she trusts with her own life. You know what I always say. If I'm ever on that table, I want your hands, nobody else's. He nods. Thanks her. Keeps walking. At his locker, he changes into fresh scrubs. Blue. Standard issue. He clips his hospital ID to the front pocket and glances at the photo on the badge. The picture is 8 years old. Taken the year Barnes died. Tate has never updated it. The image shows a younger face, fewer lines, fuller cheeks, a man who had not yet learned how much a system could take from a person who asked too many questions. He checks his surgical schedule. 3 operations today, bypass at 9, valve replacement at 1, consultation at 4, nothing urgent, nothing emergent. A Tuesday like any other. Outside, in the hospital parking lot, a police cruiser idles near the emergency entrance. Sergeant Darren Caldwell sits behind the wheel, radio pressed to his ear. He listens, nods once. His face betrays nothing. "Copy that," he says. The voice on the other end belongs to his boss, Chief Gerald Whitmore. The instruction is simple. Stay near the hospital, keep the area clear, slow them down. Caldwell does not ask questions. He never does. That is why he is useful. At 2:28 p.m., the intercom inside St. Clement crackles to life. Code blue, cardiac arrest, emergency room, patient name, Rebecca Whitmore. The code call echoes through the hospital corridors. Tate hears it from the 3rd-floor surgical suite. Rebecca Whitmore. He does not recognize the name. He only knows the numbers. Code blue means a heart has stopped. Cardiac arrest means seconds count. Every minute without intervention reduces survival odds by 10%. He is the closest cardiac surgeon. He moves. The elevator will take 90 seconds. The stairs will take 70. But there is a faster route, through the parking lot, in through the ER's back entrance. 40 seconds saved. Maybe more. In cardiac surgery, 40 seconds can be the difference between a patient who walks out and a patient who never wakes up. Tate runs. The automatic doors slide open. March air hits his face. Cool. Dry. The smell of asphalt mixes with the antiseptic still clinging to his scrubs. His stethoscope bounces against his chest with each stride. He is halfway across the parking lot when the voice stops him. "Sir, stop right there." 2 officers stand beside a patrol car. One is young, late 20s, Officer Kyle Dawson. His hand hovers near his belt, uncertain. The other is older, harder. Sergeant Darren Caldwell. 38 years on Earth, 12 years on the force, 7 complaints in his personnel file. A face that has learned to see what it expects to see. Tate does not stop. He slows, holds up his badge. "I'm a surgeon. I have a patient coding inside. Let me through." Caldwell steps forward. His hand rests on his belt. Not on his weapon, but close enough to make the message clear. "ID." Tate hands over the badge. Caldwell examines it, looks at the photo, looks at Tate. The picture is 8 years old. The face has aged, the hair is grayer, the cheeks are thinner. "This doesn't look like you." "It's me. Call the hospital, call the ER, I need to go now." Caldwell does not move. His eyes stay fixed on Tate's face. The surgical scrubs, the stethoscope around his neck, the sweat beginning to form on his brow. None of it matters. Caldwell sees what he expects to see. "You're not going anywhere until I verify this." Tate's voice stays level. 15 years of operating rooms have trained him to remain calm when every instinct screams otherwise. Panic kills patients. Panic kills surgeons. Steady hands, steady heart. A woman is dying, right now. Inside that building. Every second you hold me here. Hands behind your back. The cuffs click. Cold metal against warm skin. Tate's hands, the hands that have held hearts, stitched arteries, coaxed life back into failing bodies, are now useless behind his back. Patty Coleman walks out through the ER entrance. She sees Tate, sees the cuffs. Her face goes white. "That's Dr. Tate! What are you doing? Let him go!" Caldwell does not look at her. "Ma'am, step back. This is a police matter." "He's our cardiac surgeon! There's a woman dying in there! Step back. 4 minutes pass. 4 minutes of Caldwell speaking into his radio. 4 minutes of Tate standing in handcuffs while his patient's heart fails. 4 minutes of Patty Coleman pleading with officers who do not listen. Finally, Caldwell receives confirmation. He removes the cuffs without apology. "You can go." Tate does not speak. He runs, through the doors, down the hall, into the emergency room. The clock on the wall reads 2:43, 11 minutes since the code was called. Inside Trauma Bay 1, a backup surgeon performs CPR on a woman with silver hair. Rebecca Whitmore, 55 years old. No prior cardiac history. Her chest rises and falls with each compression, but the rhythm on the monitor is chaos. Tate takes over. He calls for the crash cart, opens her chest, reaches inside. At 2:46, the monitor flatlines. 52 seconds of nothing. No rhythm, no electrical activity. Electrical, just a flat green line and the terrible sound of mechanical silence. Tate massages her heart directly. Squeezes. Releases. Squeezes again. His fingers work with the precision of 15 years. At 2:48, a beat, then another, then a rhythm. By 3:02, Rebecca Whitmore is stable. She is alive, but the damage is done. 52 seconds without oxygen, 11 minutes of delayed intervention. The left ventricle has sustained permanent injury. The attending physician reads the preliminary report aloud. 30% reduction in cardiac function, pacemaker implantation required. Tate stands beside the gurney, gloves still on, hands still steady. Rebecca's eyes flutter open. She does not know him. She does not know what he did, or what was done to stop him. Outside, a bystander reviews the video on his phone. 2 minutes and 52 seconds of footage. A black doctor in handcuffs. A white officer refusing to listen. By 7 p.m., the video will have 1.5 million views. By day 4, Spencer Tate will be under arrest. The video spreads like wildfire through dry brush. By 9 p.m. on Tuesday, it has reached every major news outlet in Georgia. By midnight, cable networks are running the footage on loop, the same images repeating endlessly. A man in surgical scrubs, hands behind his back, pleading to be released. An officer unmoved, a hospital in the background where a woman's heart is failing. The caption beneath the image reads, "Black doctor handcuffed while patient flatlines." The comments section becomes a war zone. Some defend the officers. He should have just complied. Most do not. This is murder by bureaucracy. 24 hours after the incident, the view count passes 1.5 million. The hashtag #HadJusticeForDerTate trends nationally. Protesters gather outside the Meredith County Police Department, holding signs with Tate's face and chanting for Sergeant Caldwell's badge. 48 hours later, the number reaches 3.8 million. National news anchors debate the footage. Legal analysts parse the officer's actions. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone is certain they know what happened. Spencer Tate does not watch the video. He cannot bring himself to see those 4 minutes from the outside, to watch himself standing helpless while Rebecca Whitmore's heart stopped beating. He does not read the comments. He does not check the trending topics. He sits in his living room, alone, staring at the photograph of William Barnes on the wall. Cynthia is with him. She has seen the footage. Her classmates have sent it to her, some with sympathy, some with cruelty, some with the casual thoughtlessness of teenagers who do not understand what they are sharing. "Dad," she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper, "what's going to happen?" He does not have an answer. On day 3, the public pressure reaches a breaking point. The mayor's office issues a statement calling for a thorough and transparent investigation. The hospital administration places Tate on administrative leave. Standard procedure, they say, pending internal review. The words are carefully chosen. The meaning is clear. He is a liability now. No one from leadership calls him directly. He learns about his suspension through an email. 3 sentences. No signature, no apology. Then, on day 4, everything changes. District Attorney Victor Hale holds a press conference on the steps of the county courthouse. He is 55 years old, silver-haired, camera-ready. He has held his position for 12 years. He has never lost an election. He knows how to read a crowd, and right now, the crowd wants blood. His words are precise, measured, designed to sound like justice while serving something else entirely. Mrs. Rebecca Whitmore survived her cardiac event, thankfully, but she did not emerge unharmed. She has suffered permanent damage to her heart. She will require a pacemaker for the rest of her life. She will never again enjoy the activities she once loved. He pauses, lets the cameras capture his expression of solemn duty. Our investigation has determined that Dr. Spencer Tate's resistance during the encounter with officers contributed to an 11-minute delay in treatment. That delay caused irreversible harm to Mrs. Whitmore. Another pause. The reporters lean forward. Therefore, this office is charging Dr. Spencer Tate with reckless endangerment in the 2nd degree. The courtroom of public opinion splits down the middle. Half the country sees a doctor being blamed for a crime committed against him, a man punished for the actions of others. The other half sees a man who should have simply complied, who should have trusted the officers, who should have known his place. The arrest happens at St. Clement Regional Medical Center. 2 deputies enter through the main lobby at 9 a.m. They find Tate in the physician's lounge, still wearing scrubs, still waiting to hear if he will ever be allowed to return to work. He is handcuffed for the 2nd time in 4 days. This time, the cameras are ready. This time, his colleagues watch through the glass windows of the lounge. The nurses he has worked with for 15 years, the doctors who have assisted in his surgeries, the administrators who signed his suspension letter. Patty Coleman stands among them. Her hand covers her mouth. Tears stream down her face. The charge carries a potential sentence of 2 to 5 years in state prison. If convicted, Tate will lose his medical license, his career, everything he has built since the day William Barnes first handed him a scalpel and said, "Steady hands, steady heart." That's all surgery is. The rest is just fear. Bail is set at $250,000. Tate posts it by mortgaging his house. The house where Cynthia learned to walk, where his wife took her last breath, where the photograph of Barnes still hangs on the kitchen wall. The house that was supposed to be paid off by now, the house that was supposed to be their security. Cynthia watches the news coverage from her bedroom. She sees her father led away in handcuffs for the 2nd time. She reads the comments beneath the video, the ones that call him a criminal, a thug, a man who got what he deserved. She closes her laptop. She does not cry. She is 14 years old, and she has already learned that tears do not change anything. Meanwhile, in a small office at the Meredith Tribune, a woman named Naomi Graves watches the same footage. She is 35, a reporter with a reputation for digging where others fear to look. She has won 2 regional awards for her investigative work. She has also made powerful enemies. Something about this story does not add up. The DA moved too fast. The charges came too quickly. Someone is pushing this forward, someone with power, someone with motive, someone who needs Spencer Tate to be guilty. Naomi pulls up the personnel records for the Meredith County Police Department. She starts with Sergeant Darren Caldwell, 12 years on the force, spotless public record, but public records only tell part of the story. She begins to dig. What she finds will change everything. But first, the chief of police will have his say. Day 5. The chief holds a press conference. Gerald Whitmore stands before a bank of microphones outside St. Clement Regional Medical Center. He is 58 years old, broad-shouldered, silver-haired. His uniform is pressed to perfection. His badge gleams under the morning sun. He looks like a man who has never doubted himself. Behind him, A photograph of Rebecca has been mounted on an easel. She is smiling in the image. An old photo from before the cardiac arrest, before the pacemaker, before her heart was permanently damaged. In the photograph, she looks happy. It is unclear when the photo was taken, or if she was ever truly happy at all. The chief speaks slowly, deliberately, every word calibrated for maximum emotional impact. "My wife is alive," he begins, his voice thick with practiced grief. "But she will never be the same." He pauses, lets the cameras capture his expression. Rebecca will carry a pacemaker for the rest of her life. She will never drive again. She will never run. She will never dance at our daughter's wedding or play with our future grandchildren the way she dreamed. Another pause. A deep breath. Dr. Spencer Tate had a choice. Comply for 30 seconds or resist. He chose to resist. And because of that choice, my wife lost 30% of her heart function, permanently. His voice drops. The grieving husband, the wronged public servant. "I don't want revenge, I want accountability. I want justice for my wife." The reporters shout questions. The chief ignores them. He steps away from the microphones, his wife's photograph still visible behind him, and disappears into a waiting SUV. Inside the hospital, 3 floors above the press conference, Rebecca Whitmore lies in a private recovery room. She has been conscious for 2 days. She has watched her husband on television. She has heard him describe her suffering to millions of strangers, heard him use her pain as a weapon. She has not spoken to him about it. She has barely spoken at all. A nurse notes in her chart. Patient appears withdrawn. Minimal eye contact with husband. Effect flat. Possible depression secondary to cardiac event. Recommend psychiatric consult. When Gerald visits, he sits beside her bed and holds her hand. He tells her everything is being handled. He tells her to rest. He tells her not to worry about anything, not the bills, not the press, not the trial. He has it all under control. Rebecca watches his face as he speaks. She has watched this face for 20 years. She knows what it looks like when it is performing. She knows what it looks like when it is lying. She says nothing. Meanwhile, the medical bills begin to arrive. The pacemaker surgery is scheduled for the following week. Estimated cost, $85,000. Insurance will cover most of it. But the cost to Rebecca cannot be measured in money. She will live with a machine in her chest for the rest of her life. A machine that beats when her heart cannot. A machine that exists because 11 minutes were stolen from her. Across town, Naomi Graves sits in the archives of the Meredith Tribune, scrolling through newspaper clippings from 2016. She has been searching for 3 hours. Her eyes are tired. Her coffee has gone cold. Her back aches from hunching over the microfiche reader. Then she finds it, a small article, buried on page 12 of the March 18th edition. The headline reads, "Local doctor dies in traffic incident." The name, Dr. William Barnes. The cause, blunt force trauma to the head. Official ruling, accidental fall during a traffic stop. The officer involved, Sergeant Darren Caldwell. The commanding officer who signed off on closing the case, Captain Gerald Whitmore. Naomi sits back in her chair. Her heart beats faster. Her exhaustion vanishes. Same officer, same silence, same pattern. 8 years apart, 2 doctors, 1 dead, 1 nearly destroyed. She reaches for her phone. Lieutenant Raymond Cross has worked internal affairs for 18 years. He is 52 years old, 6 months from retirement. He has a pension waiting, a cabin in the mountains he has never had time to visit, and a wife who has been patient for 3 decades. He has seen enough corruption to fill a dozen books, and enough cover-ups to know that most of them succeed. The system protects its own. It always has. It probably always will. But Cross is tired of protection. He is tired of watching bad cops keep their badges while good ones get pushed out. He is tired of signing off on investigations that go nowhere because the conclusion was decided before the first question was asked. He wants to end his career with something that matters, something true. When Naomi Graves calls, he listens. They meet at a diner outside the county line, neutral territory, away from eyes that might report back to the department. The booths are cracked vinyl. The coffee is burned. But no one from Meredith County comes here, and that is what matters. Cross orders black coffee. Naomi orders nothing. She is too focused to eat. "Tell me about the Barnes case," she says. Cross stirs his coffee slowly. The spoon clinks against the ceramic mug. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." He sets down his spoon, looks at her with eyes that have seen too much and said too little for too long. William Barnes was a cardiac surgeon at St. Clement. Good man, great reputation, 48 years old, married, no kids, spent his weekends volunteering at a free clinic in the South End. The kind of doctor who became a doctor because he actually wanted to help people. What happened to him? March 2016. He was driving home from a late shift, got pulled over by Caldwell for a broken taillight, routine stop supposedly. Cross takes a sip of his coffee. It is bitter and cold. According to the official report, Barnes became combative. Caldwell attempted to restrain him. Barnes fell and hit his head on the pavement. Died at the scene. Open and shut. Tragic accident. No charges filed. Naomi writes in her notebook. "And you don't believe that?" "I investigated that case personally. Did the interviews, collected the evidence, wrote the report." He pauses. "The report that got buried. What did you find?" "There was a witness, a woman in a parked car across the street. Name was Sandra Mitchell. She gave a statement saying Caldwell struck Barnes, hit him in the head with something. She couldn't see exactly what. A flashlight, maybe, or a baton. She heard the impact. Said it sounded like a baseball bat hitting a watermelon." Naomi stops writing. "Where's that statement now?" "Redacted. The witness recanted 2 days later. Said she was mistaken. Said she didn't actually see anything. Said she had been drinking, and her memory was unreliable." "And you believed her?" Cross laughs. It is not a happy sound. Sandra Mitchell was a 58-year-old church deacon who hadn't touched alcohol in 30 years. She didn't recant because she was wrong. She recanted because someone convinced her it would be better for everyone if she forgot what she saw. "Who closed the case?" Cross meets her gaze. "Captain Gerald Whitmore. He signed the order himself, and 2 months later, he got promoted to chief." The connection crystallizes. Same officer, same commanding officer. 2 incidents, 8 years apart, both buried under institutional silence. "I need to see that file," Naomi says. Cross shakes his head. "It's sealed. IA records are protected. If I leak that file and they trace it back to me, I lose my pension. I lose everything I've worked for." "If you don't, 2 doctors get destroyed for nothing. One's already dead. The other's about to go to prison for trying to save a life." Cross looks at his coffee, at his hands, at the years of compromise written in the lines of his face. "I'll get you what I can." 3 days later, a manila envelope appears in Naomi's mailbox. No return address, no note, just paper. Inside, photocopies of the Barnes investigation file. The autopsy report reads, "Blunt force trauma to the temporal region. Manner of death, undetermined." Not accidental, undetermined. The medical examiner had doubts. The witness statement, the original before the recanting, reads, "I saw the officer strike the man. He hit him with something in his hand. The man fell and did not get up. I screamed. The officer told me to go home." And at the bottom of the file, on the closure form, Captain Gerald Whitmore's signature. Dated 3 days after the incident, before the investigation was complete, before all the evidence was reviewed. Naomi publishes her article the next morning. The headline reads, "The officer who killed before and the captain who let him." Within 24 hours, the story has 200,000 shares. Margaret Barnes sees the article on her tablet. She is 62 years old. She has been a widow for 8 years. For 8 years, she has known the truth about her husband's death. And for 8 years, no one has believed her. Her friends told her to move on. Her pastor told her to forgive. Her lawyer told her the case was closed and there was nothing more to be done. Now someone finally believes her. She calls the Tribune, asks for Naomi Graves, leaves a message that is 1 part grief and 1 part fury. "My name is Margaret Barnes. William was my husband. They told me he fell, but I saw the bruises. I dressed his body for the funeral. That was not a fall. I've been waiting 8 years for someone to listen. I'm ready to talk." Spencer Tate sees the article too. He sits alone in his kitchen, laptop open, coffee untouched. He reads the name William Barnes. He reads the date. He reads the cause of death. His hands begin to shake. 8 years ago, he stood at Barnes's funeral. He gave a eulogy. He called Barnes the finest surgeon and the finest man he had ever known. He said the world was darker without him. He said they would carry his memory forward. He never knew the memory was a lie. "They killed you," Tate whispers to the photograph on the wall, "and they got away with it." He calls Margaret Barnes that afternoon. She answers on the second ring. Her voice is steady, but beneath the steadiness is a grief that has never healed, a wound that has been waiting 8 years to be acknowledged. "Mrs. Barnes, this is Spencer Tate. I was William's student, his resident. He taught me everything I know." His voice breaks. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know what really happened." "Neither did I," she says. "Not for sure. Not until now. What can I do? Help me make sure everyone else knows. Help me make sure it never happens again." If you've ever seen a system protect its own, you know how hard it is to break that silence. Drop a comment. Tell us what you've witnessed. But the story is only beginning to unfold. There is more buried in those files, a detail that Naomi noticed, a line that Cross highlighted before he sent the documents. In the Barnes investigation file near the bottom, a handwritten note reads, "Radio traffic from incident deleted per department policy." Deleted. Not archived, not stored, deleted. Cross circles that line in his own copy. He knows what it means. 8 years ago, there was a recording of what happened during that traffic stop, a recording that could have proven murder. Someone erased it, but radio systems leave backups. Digital fingerprints, traces that survive even when the originals are destroyed. If the recording from the Barnes incident was erased, maybe the recording from the Whitmore incident still exists. Cross begins to search, but the system is about to fight back. Week 3, Monday night. Naomi Graves drives home from the Tribune office. The streets are empty. The streetlights flicker in the March wind. The dashboard clock reads 11:43. She is tired. She has been working 18-hour days since the story broke. The response has been overwhelming, tips flooding her inbox, sources reaching out from inside the department, citizens who want to share their own encounters with Sergeant Caldwell. Every message requires verification. Every lead requires follow-up. Every hour brings her closer to the truth and closer to exhaustion. But with attention comes danger. She knows this. She has known it since she started investigating stories that powerful people want buried. She approaches the intersection at 5th and Maple. The light turns red. She presses the brake pedal. Nothing happens. The pedal sinks to the floor. No resistance, no pressure, no stopping. Her car blows through the intersection, narrowly missing a pickup truck, and slams into a concrete barrier at 40 miles per hour. The airbag deploys. Glass shatters. Metal screams against concrete. The world becomes noise and impact, and then silence. When the paramedics arrive, Naomi is conscious but bleeding. Broken ribs, mild concussion, mild lacerations across her face and arms. She will survive, but the message has been delivered. The accident report, filed the next morning, reads, "Brake line failure. Cause undetermined." From her hospital bed, Naomi calls Lieutenant Cross. Her voice is hoarse. Her words are careful. The nurses might be listening. "They cut my brakes," she says. "This isn't over. Not even close." Cross says nothing for a long moment. Then, "I know, and neither am I." The same week, a different kind of attack. Cynthia Tate walks home from school on Wednesday afternoon. The weather is warming. Spring is coming. Cherry blossoms are beginning to bloom along the sidewalk. She is thinking about homework, about her father, about when things might go back to normal. She opens the mailbox at the end of the driveway. Inside, among the bills and advertisements, there is a plain white envelope. No return address, no postmark. She opens it. Inside is a single sheet of paper. The message is typed in bold letters. "Your father should stop asking questions. Bad things happen to curious families." Beneath the words is a photograph. A photograph of Cynthia herself walking into school that morning, taken from across the street, by someone who was watching, someone who wanted her to know they were watching. She drops the envelope. Her hands are shaking. That night, Spencer Tate makes a decision. "You're going to Atlanta," he tells Cynthia. "You're staying with Aunt Darlene until this is over." "Dad, no. This isn't a discussion." His voice is firm, but his eyes are afraid. "They threatened you. They took a picture of you. I can't protect you if you're here." The next morning, he drives her to the airport. The terminal is crowded. Families saying goodbye, travelers rushing to gates. A world that does not know or care about the storm bearing down on the Tate family. Cynthia hugs him at security. She holds on longer than usual. He can feel her trembling. "Come back to me, okay?" "I will," he says. "I promise." He watches her walk through the checkpoint, watches her disappear into the crowd, watches until he cannot see her anymore. Then he stands alone in the terminal, surrounded by strangers, and feels the weight of everything he has lost and everything he might still lose. The counterattack continues on multiple fronts. Chief Whitmore holds another press conference. His message is clear. The allegations are baseless. Sergeant Caldwell has his full confidence. The Barnes case was thoroughly investigated and properly closed. There is no connection between the two incidents. The department's official statement reads, "We stand with our officers against this politically motivated attack on law enforcement. These allegations are designed to undermine public trust in those who risk their lives to protect us." But behind the chief, standing in the row of uniformed officers, Kyle Dawson's eyes tell a different story. When Whitmore says no connection, Dawson looks down. His jaw tightens. His hands clasp behind his back. He knows something. He has always known something. But he is not ready to speak. Not yet. That evening, Tate's phone rings. The number is unfamiliar. The voice is not. "Dr. Tate? My name is Eleanor Marsh. I'm an attorney. I've been following your case." Tate sits in his empty kitchen. The house feels larger without Cynthia. Quieter. Colder. "Why are you calling?" "Because I want to help. Pro bono. No fee." "Why?" There is a pause on the line. When Eleanor speaks again, her voice carries the weight of old grief. "Because I represented Margaret Barnes 8 years ago. We tried to get justice for her husband. We failed. The system was too strong, and we didn't have enough evidence." She pauses. "I don't intend to fail again." In his mailbox, among the threatening letters, there is one more envelope. This one is from the district attorney's office. Inside is a plea agreement. Week 4, Thursday night. Spencer Tate sits alone in his kitchen. The lights are off. The only illumination comes from the street lamp outside, casting long shadows across the floor. The house is silent. The refrigerator hums. The clock ticks. Nothing else moves. On the table in front of him, the plea agreement. 18 pages of legal language that boils down to a simple offer. 18 months in prison. Guilty plea to reckless endangerment. Medical license suspended but not permanently revoked. The offer expires Friday. He holds a pen. His hand does not move. 18 months. Cynthia will be 16 when he gets out. He will still be a doctor, eventually. The nightmare will end. The fighting will stop. He can go back to his life, or what remains of it. All he has to do is sign. All he has to do is admit to something he did not do. The pen touches the paper. Across town, in a house that costs more than most people earn in a decade, Rebecca Whitmore sits in her bedroom. Her husband is at a meeting, city council, police union, somewhere important. He is always somewhere important. He is never here. She is alone with her thoughts, and with a box she has not opened in 10 years. The box sits at the back of her closet, behind winter coats and forgotten shoes. She retrieves it now, sets it on the bed, opens the lid. Inside is a journal, leather-bound, the pages yellowed with age. She wrote in this journal a decade ago, during a period when she thought she might have the courage to leave. She stopped writing when she realized she did not. She hid the journal. She forgot about it. She forgot about the woman who had written those words, the woman who still believed escape was possible. Now she reads. The entries are written in her own handwriting, her own words, her own truth. He decides what I wear, who I see, when I speak. I told him I wanted to visit my sister. He said no. That was the end of the conversation. Sometimes I wonder if this is marriage or prison. If I ever have the courage to leave, no. He'd never let me. Rebecca closes the journal. Her hands are trembling. 20 years. 20 years of control. 20 years of silence. 20 years of believing she had no choice. She touches the scar on her chest, the pacemaker beneath her skin, the machine that keeps her heart beating because 11 minutes were stolen from her. Dr. Spencer Tate put that machine there. He saved her life. He gave her a second chance. And Gerald is destroying him for it. She turns on the television. The news is showing footage from the parking lot, the video that started everything. A black man in surgical scrubs, handcuffs, a white officer refusing to listen. Rebecca watches, and something inside her shifts. Something that has been frozen for 20 years begins to thaw. She picks up her phone, dials a number she has never called before. The phone rings twice. A voice answers. Hello? Dr. Tate? This is Rebecca Whitmore. I need to speak with you. Silence on the other end. Then, Mrs. Whitmore? We need to talk. Not on the phone, in person. There are things you need to know, things that could change everything. He was holding the pen. 18 months in prison, or trust the woman he almost lost. What would you do? In his kitchen, Spencer Tate sets down the pen. The plea agreement remains unsigned. When can we meet? Week 5. A coffee shop on the outskirts of Meredith. Rebecca Whitmore sits at a corner table, her back to the wall, her eyes on the door. She wears a simple dress, no jewelry, no makeup. She looks smaller than she did in the hospital. Fragile. But her eyes are sharp and alert. Spencer Tate slides into the seat across from her. He has not slept well in weeks. The circles under his eyes are dark. His hands rest flat on the table, the steadiest hands in Meredith County, now uncertain. For a moment, neither speaks. Then Rebecca begins. "I know what Gerald is. I've known for 20 years. I just couldn't—" She pauses, swallows. "I couldn't leave." "Why now?" "Because you tried to save me. You put your hands inside my chest and refused to let my heart stop beating. And now my husband is using that, using your compassion, to destroy you." She tells him about the morning of March 12th, about waking early, about hearing Gerald on the phone in his study, his voice low, giving instructions she did not understand at the time. He said, "Keep the area clear." He said, "Slow them down." I didn't know what it meant. Not then. And now? Now I know he wanted me weak, dependent, unable to leave. Her voice breaks slightly, but she pushes through. He didn't want me dead. He just wanted me his. Forever. Tate absorbs this, the pieces falling into place, the pattern revealing itself. "Will you testify?" Rebecca looks at him. At this man she barely knows. This man who held her heart in his hands. Yes. Eleanor Marsh joins them an hour later. She explains the risks in clinical detail. If Rebecca testifies against her husband, she will lose everything: the house, the accounts, the social position, the life she has known for 2 decades. Gerald will fight. Gerald will retaliate. Gerald will burn it all down rather than lose. Rebecca listens. Then she speaks. "Everything I have? He already owns everything I have. That's the problem. That's always been the problem." She signs the preliminary statement that afternoon. The next day, Margaret Barnes meets Rebecca at Eleanor's office. 2 women. One who lost her husband to the system. One who nearly lost her life to the same system, protected by the same man. Margaret reaches out and takes Rebecca's hand. "My William died because of that officer. Your husband protected him, made sure no one paid." "I know," Rebecca says, "and I'm going to make sure everyone pays now." The alliance is formed, but they still need proof. The radio recording from the morning of the incident. The evidence that Chief Whitmore gave the order. Lieutenant Cross has been searching. The Barnes recording is gone, erased years ago. But systems change. Digital backups exist. Traces survive. He calls Eleanor with news. "I found something. March 12th, 7:15 a.m., a conversation between the chief and Caldwell." "What does it say?" "Enough. Enough to end this." Tate tears up the plea agreement. The pieces flutter to the floor. He is no longer just a defendant. He is about to become the key witness. Week 6. The evidence room at Internal Affairs. Lieutenant Raymond Cross sits alone with a laptop and a pair of headphones. The room is small and windowless, filled with filing cabinets and the hum of fluorescent lights. The file on the screen is labeled Radio Traffic Backup, March 12th, 07:15. He presses play. The audio is grainy but clear. 2 voices, 2 men who have known each other for 12 years. The conversation lasts 43 seconds. Chief Whitmore speaks first. "Caldwell, I need you near St. Clement today. My wife has an appointment. Keep the area clear." Caldwell's response. "Clear of what?" A pause. Then the chief's voice again, colder now. "Anyone who doesn't belong. You know the drill. Slow them down." "Copy that." The recording ends. Cross removes his headphones. His hands are steady. His heart is not. Slow them down. 3 words, spoken 5 hours before the code was called, 5 hours before Caldwell stopped a surgeon in the parking lot, 5 hours before Rebecca Whitmore's heart stopped for 52 seconds. This is not a cover-up of a bad decision. This is evidence of premeditation, conspiracy. Obstruction of medical care. Cross makes copies, stores them in multiple locations. Contacts Eleanor Marsh. I have what you need. The chief's voice, the order, everything. Eleanor convenes the team. Tate, Rebecca, Margaret Barnes, Naomi Graves, still recovering from her injuries but determined to see this through. She plays the recording. The room goes silent. No one breathes. When it ends, Rebecca speaks first. He didn't want me saved quickly. He wanted me helpless, dependent. Eleanor nods. The question is why? Control? Insurance? Something else we haven't found yet? Cross provides additional evidence. The overtime audit he has been compiling for weeks. Sergeant Caldwell logged 340 hours of overtime in the past 24 months, time that cannot be accounted for by any official assignments. The total payout? $28,000. Every overtime request was signed by Chief Gerald Whitmore. Caldwell was being paid to be available, a personal enforcer, a tool to be used when needed, a weapon with a badge. The pattern is undeniable. Barnes in 2016. The Whitmore incident now, and likely others. Cases that were never reported, complaints that were never filed, victims who were never believed. Eleanor files a motion with the county prosecutor. The grand jury hearing is accelerated. Subpoenas are issued. Chief Gerald Whitmore, Sergeant Darren Caldwell, Officer Kyle Dawson. District Attorney Victor Hale, recognizing the conflict of interest, recuses himself from the case. A special prosecutor is appointed, someone from outside the county, someone with no ties to the department, someone who cannot be bought or pressured. The charges against Spencer Tate are not dropped. Not yet. But the investigation has shifted. He is no longer the primary suspect. He is now the primary witness. His phone rings on a Tuesday evening. Eleanor's voice is calm but charged with urgency. Spencer, the grand jury wants your testimony. Day 58. You're going to tell them everything. He looks at the photograph of William Barnes. I'm ready. There's one more thing. Rebecca has agreed to testify in person. She's going to face Gerald in open court, in front of cameras, in front of the world. Tate closes his eyes. The weight of 8 years presses against his chest. Will she be safe? I don't know, Eleanor admits. But she says she'd rather be free than safe. Day 58 approaches. The truth is coming. Day 58. Meredith County Courthouse. The gallery is packed. Reporters line the walls. Cameras wait outside, hungry for footage. The air is thick with tension and the smell of old wood and nervous sweat. Spencer Tate takes the stand first. He wears a dark suit. His hands rest calmly on his knees. 15 years of surgery have taught him to be steady under pressure. He tells the story from the beginning. The code call, the parking lot, the handcuffs. I told Sergeant Caldwell I was a surgeon. I showed him my ID. He said it didn't look like me. He didn't care about anything else. What happened next? He put me in handcuffs. 4 minutes later, he let me go. By then, Rebecca Whitmore had been without proper care for 11 minutes. The prosecutor plays the body camera footage. The courtroom watches in silence. Caldwell is called next. His attorney reads a prepared statement. My client exercised standard caution in a high-stress environment. He followed department protocols and acted in good faith. Then Caldwell invokes the Fifth Amendment. He refuses to answer questions. The murmur in the gallery grows louder. The judge calls for order. Then Kyle Dawson asks to testify. The young officer walks to the stand. His face is pale. Sweat glistens on his forehead. He has spent 8 weeks wrestling with his conscience. He cannot wrestle anymore. On the morning of March 12th, Chief Whitmore called us into his office. The prosecutor leans forward.
What did he say? He said his wife was going to the hospital. He told us to be near St. Clement, to keep the area clear.
Clear of what? Dawson swallows, looks at Caldwell,
looks at the chief sitting in the front row. Anyone who doesn't belong, especially anyone who looks like they don't belong. Did you understand what that meant? Yes, ma'am. His voice cracks. He meant black people. He meant slow them down. Make sure no one gets to her fast. The gallery erupts. The gavel pounds. The department's official response read into the record. Sergeant Caldwell acted within established protocols. But no protocol explains the chief's order. No procedure justifies racial targeting. Rebecca Whitmore is called last. She walks to the stand with her back straight and her eyes forward. She does not look at her husband. She does not need to. Mrs. Whitmore, what can you tell us about the morning of March 12th? Rebecca's voice is steady. 20 years of silence have ended. My husband controlled every aspect of my life for 2 decades. That morning I heard him on the phone. He said, "Slow them down." What did you understand that to mean? He wanted me weak, dependent, unable to leave him. Dr. Tate tried to save my life. My husband tried to take it, slowly, so no one would notice. She turns, looks directly at Gerald Whitmore. You taught me how to survive. For 20 years you taught me. Now I'm using those lessons against you. The arrest warrant is issued immediately. Gerald Whitmore, conspiracy, obstruction, civil rights violations, reckless endangerment. The bailiff approaches. The handcuffs click. Rebecca, the chief says, his voice breaking. How could you? She meets his eyes without flinching. You taught me how, for 20 years. Week 10. The charges against Spencer Tate are dismissed with prejudice. The special prosecutor's statement reads, Dr. Tate is not only innocent, he is a victim of a conspiracy designed to silence him and protect those in power. Gerald Whitmore awaits trial on 9 counts. He is denied bail. He will face justice. Darren Caldwell pleads guilty to civil rights violations. He receives 8 years in federal prison. The Barnes case is reopened. After 8 years of silence, Margaret Barnes will finally have answers. Rebecca Whitmore files for divorce. She moves to her sister's house, the visit Gerald denied her for 15 years. She is damaged. She is healing. For the first time in 2 decades, she is free. Week 12. St. Clement Regional Medical Center. A new operating suite is unveiled. The plaque beside the door reads, The William Barnes Memorial Operating Suite. Steady hands, steady heart. Spencer Tate stands before it. Margaret Barnes beside him. Rebecca Whitmore in the gallery, her hand pressed against the scar on her chest. Cynthia runs through the doors. She crashes into her father's arms. You came back. I promised. Tate returns to surgery that afternoon. His first patient, a young man who needs emergency cardiac repair. He picks up the scalpel. His hands do not shake. 52 seconds. That is how long her heart stopped. But it started again. And so did everything else. A badge is a responsibility, not a shield. And sometimes, the most powerful witness is the one who was supposed to stay silent. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, share it, and remember, the truth does not need permission to come out.